My name is Kelly Barlow. I'm 38 years old, and until recently, I believed I had a life that was not perfect, but stable. I had been with my boyfriend, Marcus Carter, for nearly 9 years. We had 2 children together, a 7-year-old daughter and a 5-year-old son. We built everything side by side, or at least, that's what I thought. On my birthday, Marcus leaned in close while the kids were distracted and whispered, "I have a secret I've been keeping from you." For a split second, my heart stopped. I looked at him, searching his face for something: guilt, hesitation, anything that might reflect what I had been silently carrying for the past 6 months. "I do too," I said. He smiled. "You first." "No," I replied softly. "You go ahead." He took a breath, almost excited. "I got promoted. Regional director. Huge raise. Corner office. Not a confession, not even close." I smiled. I even congratulated him. Because by then, I had already mastered the art of pretending. What he didn't know was that for the past 6 months, I had been documenting his affair. It started small. That's how betrayal usually creeps in. Quiet, almost invisible. Marcus began placing his phone face down, always on silent. He started working late more often. Suddenly, he cared about going to the gym. Except, somehow, he was always there, but never actually looked like he'd worked out. I told myself it was nothing. Until one night in April, he fell asleep on the couch while I was putting the kids to bed. When I came back, his phone lit up. Just for a moment long enough. Saved contact. Client meeting. Message: "I can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again?" Everything inside me shattered in silence. I didn't wake him. Didn't scream. Didn't cry. I just stood there, staring at that message. Feeling like my entire life had collapsed in under 3 seconds. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake until nearly 4 in the morning, replaying every strange moment, every excuse that now made perfect sense. And then, I made a decision. I wasn't going to react emotionally. I was going to be smart. The next morning, I contacted a divorce attorney. I explained everything, asked what I needed to do to protect myself and my children. He gave me a checklist. Document everything. Don't confront him. Don't leave the house. Don't make emotional decisions. He also told me something important. In our state, documented infidelity could influence custody and asset division. That changed everything. So I started documenting. I checked phone records through our shared plan. I tracked every late night against his actual work schedule. I reviewed receipts he forgot to hide, and when I needed undeniable proof, I hired a private investigator for 2 weeks. What I found was worse than I imagined. The affair was with a woman from his office, his ex-girlfriend, technically, but clearly someone who had never really left his life. She was married too, 2 kids of her own. They met in hotels during business trips, had 3-hour lunch meetings, and at one point, used our family car for something I still can't bring myself to describe. 6 months. 6 months of lies. Of him kissing me goodbye after texting her all night. Of him telling our kids he loved me while planning his next rendezvous. But the hardest part? Pretending I didn't know. Smiling at family dinners. Sitting beside him at gatherings. Sleeping next to him every night, knowing exactly where he had been. I did it because I needed time. Time to build my case. Time to secure my future. Time to make sure that when everything fell apart, I wouldn't. And then my birthday came. October 12th. He woke up early and made me breakfast in bed. French toast, my favorite. He smiled at me like he was the perfect partner. The irony was suffocating. After the kids ran off, he leaned in again and whispered his secret. And in that moment, I understood something clearly. He wasn't going to confess, so I would end it. "Now you," he said. "What's your secret?" I reached over to my nightstand and picked up a manila envelope. "What's this?" he asked. I placed it in his hands. "Your birthday gift." I said quietly. From my lawyer. The color drained from his face before he even opened it. He knew. Divorce papers, along with 6 months of evidence photos, call logs, hotel receipts, investigator reports. Every lie, documented with precision. Happy birthday, I said. Then I stood up and walked out of the room to check on my children. The party that night never happened, but that was only the beginning. The silence after I handed Marcus that envelope didn't last long. At first, he just sat there on the bed, flipping through the pages. His face went from pale to confused to something darker. Anger. Not guilt. Not remorse. Anger. You've been spying on me? He snapped, throwing the papers onto the bed. I've been documenting your affair, I replied calmly. There's a difference. This is insane, Kelly. You put a recorder in my car? Our car? I corrected. Legally. And you think that makes it okay? You've been lying to me for 8 months, I said, my voice still steady. I think we're past the point of arguing about privacy. That's when he switched tactics. You've always been controlling, he said, shaking his head. This proves it. You pushed me into this. There it was. Blame. My therapist had warned me about this exact moment. Deny. Attack. Reverse victim and offender. The classic pattern. I pushed you into an 8-month affair? I asked quietly. You were never really here, Kelly, he continued, pacing now. Always tired, always distracted. She made me feel seen. She's married, I said. Does her husband feel seen too? That stopped him for about 2 seconds. You don't understand what I was going through. You're right, I said. Because I wouldn't have done what you did. He didn't have an answer for that. So instead, he stormed out of the room and slammed the door hard enough that the kids came running down the hallway. I smiled at them. Everything's okay, I said gently, even though nothing was. By that evening, his version of the story had already started spreading. He called his sister, then his mother. Within hours, his entire family knew, but not the truth. According to Marcus, I had ambushed him on my birthday. That I was cold, calculating. That I couldn't let him have one happy moment. His mother called me that night. How could you do this to him? She demanded. On his birthday of all days? I closed my eyes for a second. I found out Marcus has been having an affair for 8 months, I said calmly. Did he mention that part? Silence. That's not what he said. I'm sure it isn't. The tone changed after that. Not completely, he was still their son, but the certainty in their anger cracked. The next day, Marcus tried something different. He cried. I'll end it, he said, standing in the doorway of the kitchen. I swear, Kelly, I'll cut her off completely. We can fix this. We can go to counseling. I'll do anything. I looked at him for a long moment. You've had 8 months to choose differently, I said. It was a mistake, he whispered. No, I replied. It was hundreds of choices. Every text, every lie, every hotel room. His face crumpled. I love you. I love our family. Please don't destroy everything over this. I felt something twist in my chest, but it wasn't enough. You already destroyed it, I said softly. I'm just refusing to pretend it's still intact. He left the room in tears, and for a moment, I felt like the villain. Then I remembered the evidence, and the feeling passed. Day 3 brought something unexpected. A phone call. Hi, is this Kelly? The voice on the other end sounded hollow, tired in a way I recognized too well. Yes, I'm Marcus's. Well, my name is Danielle. I'm the other woman's husband. Everything inside me went still. I just found out, he continued, about them. I got your number from... I don't even know anymore. Everything's a blur. I sat down slowly. I'm sorry, I said. There was a quiet laugh on the other end. How long did you know? 6 months. Jesus, he muttered. You're stronger than I am. I would have burned everything down in a week. I thought about it, I admitted. But I have kids. Yeah, he said softly. Me too. We talked for 20 minutes. Two strangers tied together by the same betrayal. He told me he was filing for divorce. That she had confessed the night Marcus panicked and called her. Apparently, Marcus wasn't as composed as he pretended to be. Day 4, reality hit harder. His lawyer responded to my filing. He was contesting everything. Primary custody, the house, even spousal support. And then came the accusation. That my documentation, my evidence was abusive. That he had felt unsafe in the relationship. I almost laughed when my lawyer read it out loud. This is standard, she said calmly. They start aggressive. Then reality sets in. Still, seeing it in writing did something to me. He wasn't just denying what he did. He was rewriting me, painting me as the villain, in a story where I had spent months quietly surviving. By day 7, things escalated again. Marcus started telling people he and his ex-girlfriend were in love, that what they had was real, that I had emotionally abandoned him years ago, that he had simply found someone who appreciated him. But here's the part he didn't expect. She didn't back him up. According to Danielle, her husband, the moment everything came out, she panicked. She distanced herself, told people Marcus had pursued her, that she had been vulnerable, that he had taken advantage of her. So now Marcus was stuck. The woman he risked everything for was erasing him. And he was too deep into his own narrative to admit the truth. By day 10, he crossed a line I hadn't anticipated. He told our daughter that I was the reason he might have to leave. That Mommy doesn't want Daddy here anymore. She came to me crying. Why are you being mean to Daddy? That question broke something in me. I knelt down, held her close, and kept my voice steady. Sometimes grown-ups have problems, I said gently. But no matter what, Mommy and Daddy both love you very much. I didn't say anything else. But later I documented it. Every word. And I sent it to my lawyer. Because this wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was about my children. And I wasn't going to lose them too. Day 12 brought our first custody hearing. Marcus wanted primary custody. Claimed he had been the more stable parent. The irony would have been funny, if it hadn't been so serious. My lawyer presented everything. Every late night that was actually a hotel meeting. Every work trip that never existed. Every time he claimed to be with the kids but wasn't. The judge didn't take long. Temporary ruling. 50/50 custody. Marcus was furious. He called me that night. You're trying to take my kids from me. I'm trying to share custody, I replied. You know, with the children you lied to for 8 months. I'm their father. And I'm the one who was actually present while you were at the Marriott. There was silence. Then, you're going to regret this. I exhaled slowly. Go ahead, I said. Tell everyone whatever you want. A pause. I have documentation. What do you have? He hung up. By day 15, the financial truth started coming out. Thousands of dollars. Spent on her. Things I never questioned at the time because I trusted him. My lawyer compiled it all. Nearly $6,000 of our shared money. On lies. On secrecy. On betrayal. And suddenly, this wasn't just emotional. It was measurable. By day 18, we sat across from each other in mediation. Marcus looked composed. Confident, like he still believed he could win this. But as the evidence was presented piece by piece, I watched something shift in the room. The mediator's expression changed. His lawyer's posture tightened. And for the first time, Marcus looked unsure. When the session ended, he caught me in the parking lot. Are you happy? He asked bitterly. Humiliating me like this? I met his eyes. I wanted a faithful partner, I said. That didn't happen. Now I want a fair ending. This isn't fair. You had 8 months, I replied quietly. This is the consequence. He shook his head. I made a mistake. I stepped closer. No, I said. You got caught. He didn't respond. He just turned and walked away. And for the first time since this began, I realized something. The man I thought I knew was already gone long before I handed him that envelope. By the time we reached day 25, something had shifted. Not in me, I had already crossed the point of no return the moment I handed Marcus that envelope, but in him. Reality was finally catching up. His lawyer, I later found out, had a long, uncomfortable conversation with him after the first mediation. The evidence wasn't just strong, it was overwhelming. The affair, the financial spending, the attempt to manipulate the kids, it all painted a picture he couldn't argue his way out of. So he made his first settlement offer. 60-40 custody in his favor. The house. And monthly support payments. My lawyer didn't even try to hide her reaction, she laughed. We countered. 50-50 custody. I keep the house and buy out his share. No support and accountability for the money he spent on the affair. He rejected it immediately. Called me vindictive. Cold. Punishing. Maybe a small part of me was, but mostly, I was just done. Day 30. Second mediation. By then, something else had happened. His ex-girlfriend's marriage had collapsed too. From what I heard through Danielle, her husband, the divorce had been brutal. She lost her home. Custody wasn't in her favor. Financial consequences she hadn't anticipated came crashing down all at once. And suddenly, the fantasy of love didn't look so appealing anymore. Marcus saw it. He saw exactly where this path could end. And, for the first time, he hesitated. Day 35, a new offer came. 50-50 custody. He keeps his retirement accounts. I keep the house and buy out his equity. No support either way. Everything else split evenly. It wasn't everything I wanted. Part of me still wanted him to answer for every dollar, every lie, every moment he chose someone else over us. But my lawyer was practical. If you go to trial, she said, you're looking at another $15,000 to $20,000 in legal fees, and there's no guarantee the outcome will be significantly better. I sat with that for a long time. Because this wasn't about winning. It was about ending. So I agreed. Day 45. We signed the papers. 9 years. 2 children. 1 home. 8 months of betrayal. 6 months of silence. Reduced to signatures on a document. Marcus didn't look at me once during the signing, but when his lawyer stepped out for a moment, he finally spoke. I hope you're satisfied. I let out a slow breath. Satisfied isn't the word I'd use. He frowned slightly. Then what? Finished, I said. I'm finished. He shook his head, like he still didn't understand. I never wanted to hurt you. I looked at him then. Really looked at him. And yet, I said quietly, you chose to. Every single day. His jaw tightened. You'll never understand what I was going through. You're right, I replied. I won't. Because when things got hard, I stayed. I showed up for our family. I paused. You showed up for hotel rooms. He didn't respond. He just grabbed his things and walked out. And that was it. No dramatic ending. No final apology. Just silence. The house is mine now. The kids are with me this week. We've already started the 50-50 schedule. It's strange, sleeping in what used to be our Time's bedroom, but I'm getting used to it. Marcus moved into an apartment about 15 minutes away. Close enough for custody exchanges. Far enough that I don't have to see him every day. We don't speak directly anymore. Everything goes through a co-parenting app. Every message time-stamped, documented. Just in case. As for him and his ex-girlfriend, they don't talk anymore. Apparently, soulmates doesn't survive reality, especially when it comes with court orders, child support, and a 1-bedroom apartment. My children are adjusting. They don't understand everything yet. And they don't need to. For now, they just know that Mommy and Daddy don't live together anymore, but we both love them. And that's enough. As for me, I'm tired, relieved, but tired. 6 months of pretending, weeks of legal battles, nearly a decade of my life rearranged. It leaves a mark. Some people have asked me if I regret how I handled it. The birthday reveal, the timing. Was it cruel? Maybe. But here's the truth. While I was making him breakfast, helping the kids, building a life, he was building something else. Something that didn't include me. So no, it wasn't about cruelty. It was about balance. He chose deception. I chose clarity. And in the end, I walked away with my children, my home, and my self-respect. That will have to be enough.